How's your Monday been, Brian?
It's been okay, not too bad.
You guys getting a lot of warm heat there, or
We have been, but after let's see, last month we didn't get any rain at all. So, but over the last 2 days we've been getting a pretty significant amount. So we're really thrilled about that.
yeah, yeah, we're at the point now we look forward to a thunderstorm
So,
just in case it gets some rain out of it. So,
all right, so welcome back everyone, and welcome to the Mystic Syndicate. I am Brian, your host, and this evening we are handing out some questions to Pav, who plays Kelex Celene, who is our Paladin of Heronius in the Princess of Celene um, uh, homebrew campaign that we run here every week. So, Pav, thank you very much for taking the time to come on this evening. It's
thank you for
nice.
having me.
Oh yeah, no. Um, for those folks who were waiting for us at 7 o'clock, unfortunately, we were having technical difficulties totally on my end because it's
It's a
just
Monday.
IT. It's Monday, typical Monday stuff. So yeah, welcome back. So those people who may or may not know, this is a interview uh, process that we've been going through with all of our players over the past, I think, month or so.
Yeah,
So uh, Kelex is the next to the last one. After this, we're going to grab Mike, who plays Kiffy. So hopefully we'll catch him next week.
everybody's favorite dwarf.
Everyone's favorite. Yeah, that is like the coolest thing because everybody says it. It's like, oh no, Kiffy's the best, and I'm like, Kiffy never says anything. But he does come up with some really good one-liners and like just some zingers, and it's always good when we catch those. So I can't wait to talk with him. But I was also really glad I got a chance to chat with you as well. So, being that I turned off my computer and turned to be able to figure out what was going on with my sound system here, let me head back over here to the questions. All right. Now I've actually added some questions and I modified some questions. So you're getting some new questions and some old questions that other people have
All
had.
right, I am not prepared.
Cool.
All ad hoc.
Totally fine. That is awesome. There's nothing wrong with that at all. All righty. So, Pav, how long have you actually been gaming, like role playing gaming, tabletop gaming?
So in like Ed, Albie, and Glenn and all of them, I actually didn't start playing until I was in high school. So this is when Ed and Mike I became friends, and they introduced me to the whole game. I didn't even really know anything about it until then. Um, so I think I was a sophomore when I started playing. So we played for at least a couple years, and Ed and Mike were a year older than me. So when they graduated, that pretty much put a nix to it until I joined the army in '88. Didn't play because I was at Fort Bragg, and what's a young soldier to do at Fort Bragg? Drink. So did a lot of that. Was there for about a year. Then I got PCS to England, which I eventually did manage to find a group there. A guy named Eric Webster. He was a DM for a group. They actually played in the city center. They had like a community center. So every Wednesday, no, every other Wednesday, that's where they would meet. It'd be kind of like almost like a mini con kind of thing. And it'd be different tables playing and stuff like that. We had our own table and we played mostly we played so we didn't play any D&D. We played Shadowrun, we played Car Wars. I love that game. Um and what else did we play? There was something else. Oh, Marvel superhero. So, but yeah, Ed and Mike, was the one that introduced me to it. And actually, I think I mentioned this in our chat. This came across this at Second and Charles the other day, and this was actually the first module I played.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Oh, Expedition to the
So
Barrier Peaks.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, it was very cool. It was my first introduction, and I played a dwarf.
cool. I have never played that one, but I've heard plenty of stories from other people who had suffered through it and loved it so much that yeah, that's cool.
It's definitely unique because I didn't even think about it, and I was reading it. It's not was never actually meant for AD&D. It was for a system called Origins 2, and they converted it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Apparently,
All right,
that's what it says here. I never realized that until I started peeking through it. So,
neat. Oh, that's cool. All righty. So, have you been primarily a player or a dungeon master, game master?
um, mostly a player. I do Dungeon Master for my family. I haven't Dungeon Master for anybody else. So that was kind of interesting because it first started out with just me and my sons. They played two characters each. I think eventually my wife and my daughters they were very interested, so we included him in the campaign, and that was actually the Tyranny of Dragons campaign they started in. So
Nice, nice.
yeah,
Okay. Is that I think that's fifth edition.
yep,
Yeah, fifth edition Turkey of Dragons. Cool.
yeah.
All right. So, what is your favorite gaming memory? A funny situation or event?
Oh lordy,
This is one of the new questions,
wow,
obviously.
yeah, that one. That was you know what? I mean, there's so many of them. I mean, there's some of them do pop in my head, like the first game campaign I played. I was playing a dwarf, and we came across some. I guess they were kind of like droids of some sort. Not to
Okay.
give any spoilers to anybody who hasn't played it. And they were shooting us like some kind of laser, and I just said I told Mike, who was the dungeon master at the time, said, "Hey, I want to probably try to shoot into the barrel to make it explode." You know, they usually don't do. You didn't do cold shots back then, but I think he gave it to me, and he said only if you roll a 20. Yes, and I pulled a 20, natural 20. It was awesome. Yeah, there's been other ones. I mean, our campaign. I mean, there's usually something wacky that goes on. Uh, like the stuff in Marydale. I don't know how we got out of there alive. I really don't. That bit with Timble drew out the globe while we are all sitting there having biscuits and gravy, threw it on the floor, and we disappeared. That was hilarious. So yeah, there's just so many
Yeah,
keep track of.
it's kind of hard. There's like none that really. I've also experienced that. I mean, there's been some situations that have happened at the table that made me question if I should ever play with these people ever again, but I always did. Um, but you know, some of those past games that I've played have just been insane. But alrighty, so have you ever had a bad gaming experience?
So
Oh,
there's yeah, so there was one, and this was after uh, we PCS to Fort Huachucos, me and Gail, and and we found a group and stuff. We thought give them a try. I think after 2 hours we were ready to leave. It just I don't know. There was just something about the group. Even my wife was bored. Though she wasn't really in D&D and stuff. I was bored, and I was like, I'm not just not having fun. So yeah, I think we just kind of called it Nix there. That's the only one that really comes up to mind. I mean, as a dungeon master, sometimes you feel like, did they enjoy themselves? Sometimes I feel like if I don't, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I get moments like that. So
yeah. Ah, understandable.
yeah.
Alrighty. So, what would you say is your favorite game system?
So I started out with AD&D. I enjoyed that. I don't know. I'm not sure because I think I like the mechanics of each one. They all have their own unique differences. And I know a lot of people don't like 5e. I'm I'm actually okay with it. It's not too bad. And I think the reason I'm okay with it because that's started our family campaign. That's how I introduced, the my sons and my my family, and it's easy for them. 5e is kind of easy to learn, it's easier than learning THACO. So, it was him. So I don't know if I really have a favorite or even a disfavorite. They all, like I said, they all have their plus and minuses, pros and cons. So
Okay. Okay.
I know you're probably going to get a lot of answers like that tonight.
So, as far as fantasy worlds go, which one is your favorite?
I'm haven't played it in a long time, and now, well, except for your campaign, it's got to be Greyhawk. There's just something about Greyhawk that I'm just finding interesting. I actually found a few podcasts to listen about Greyhawk. It's not just stories. They're actually talking about certain lands and things like that, and some of the aspects of it. So yeah, I think after the family is finished with this campaign, I'm going to see if I can slide them over to Greyhawk.
Nice. Okay. Well, good. So, as far as this campaign, what do you think has been the worst thing that has happened in our campaign so far? Worst thing.
Kelex becoming Lord Protector.
Okay. Okay.
I guess that's I don't know. I think there's a little bit of Kelex in me. I think there's or me and Kelex, maybe either way. Um, I I've no I've never played characters that ever been has been in charge like something like. I've always played the support character. Love playing the support character, like the grumpy old sergeant guy, giving advice and things like that, but not being in charge. So kudos you for putting me out of my comfort zone.
I figure, yeah,
So
yeah, between you and Glenn with Timble, he's like, I can't wait to not be the chancellor of Bissell. He's like, oh, I hate it.
yeah,
Like,
I
oh, I'm
mean, Kelex, I think
sorry.
at this point is now starting to get kind of used to it, but yeah, I don't think it was something he was ever aspiring to be.
Well,
So,
I'm sure it was probably a surprise that
oh
you
yeah,
was kind of like, wait, this didn't, But so yeah, I'm glad I kind of took you out of your comfort zone a little bit and shoved you into a completely different uh,
yeah.
scenario. Yeah. Alrighty. So, what do you think has been the funniest thing so far in the campaign?
Again, so many. I mean, like the what I mentioned with Timble and that the little ball where we're sitting there eating, eating breakfast, and then all of a sudden he just throws this ball and pops it out, and next thing you know, we're no longer in Marydale. That was hilarious. It was very unexpected.
Oh yeah,
So
and I was surprised that he did it because I'm sitting there like going, "Really? Oh, okay, fine. You do it."
I
Yeah.
mean, come on, it's a gnome who's who sucked down a vial of poison. What do you expect, right?
Oh, okay. So, who would you say is your favorite character teammate? Kelix's favorite character teammate, and why?
Okay, I told you you're probably gonna get a lot of answers like this. I think at this junction, he doesn't really have a favorite because I think he values each of his teammates for what they provide and things like that. I mean, we all have our flaws, and things like that. I'm not sure if he actually has a favorite or a disfavorite. I think
Okay.
at this point, I think they don't realize he needs them more than they need him. And that's how he looks at it, thinks about it. So,
Okay. Yeah. Alrighty. So, which teammate has been the most challenging for Kelix to work with?
hmm,
Put you on the spot.
yeah, put me that one on the spot. I don't know. I mean, sometimes Timble because he's very much adamant on sometimes there's something he wants to do. He wants to do. Um, maybe even I don't know. Like I said, earlier it said that we all have our own different flaws. It's kind of hard to significantly pick one out. I don't know. It's hard, and I'm not just sitting on the fence about it. I'm just or I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know.
Okay. Okay. So, what would you say has been your greatest challenge in this game, if any?
Yeah, back to Kelex being a Lord Protector. I mean, personally, even myself, like, where Glenn, Russ and Ed, they have a lot of they definitely think really tactically, especially about with how the war and things go. They really think about it. I mean, if I didn't have them, I don't know what Kelex would have done. Um, so that might have been like, and I'm sorry to ask, but what was the question again?
Okay. What has been your greatest challenge in this game, if any?
Yeah, being in charge and trying to ensure that everybody gets their own inputs in, and making kind of a decision. So again, don't like being in charge.
So, what were you kind of surprised that, like, because pretty much ever since the beginning of the game, you have been kind of the leader of the group. No one else kind of
So
stepped
yeah,
up. You just it just kind of
yeah,
landed on you.
I was even at the beginning of it, I was surprised that, as of course, I guess as the paladin, you're the captain, right? I was like, okay. And I think actually changed how I was going to play Kelex. I was going to play him a little differently, which is fine because, this I like the story, where, everybody, we always try to set our characters parameters and how we play them, stuff like that. But it's good when you get a story such as yours that just changes those parameters and makes you think about it, and then you veer off to what you had planned. And that's life, right? That's life in general. You're never going to turn out to be a particular person going on the two different paths. You're not going to be the same person. So
So, your thought on how you were going to play Kelex, was it a complete like 180 from what you've are
I think
working
he
with
was
now?
gonna. I was going to go more with the whole vengeance paladin. Yeah. So,
Okay.
but once and I know that doesn't kind of key up with Heronius in a way, but I was going to kind of finagle some of the way about it. But the way it worked out, it just Kellex is just now who he is. So you never know, it could change.
Well, of course, because the story is always changing, and that's
Yep.
I've said to the other guys is that you all have changed this story so much differently than the original group that did this back in 2010 2011. I mean, they did it completely different, uh, which was great. So watching you guys take it and make it your own made it, I mean, made it even more special to me because it's transcended different groups. You all taken in a different direction. You're still, of course, heading in the same direction to the eventual conclusion, but you all have went and did other things which have added so much more story to it, which is
And I
beautiful.
think that has a lot to do as you as a DM, because you're not railroading us, right? You're
Right.
allowing us to make these choices and to do, and I give you so much kudos because I don't know how you anticipate some of these things, and you do a really good job of anticipating it. And I was like, wow, okay, that's no, it's awesome, and
Well, thanks.
so and you as the DM, I'm sure even the next group, the next group you get and stuff like that, I'm sure they'll have their own choices to make, and hopefully go, and I'm sure they'll probably go different ways. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, what's so interesting is, like I said, both teams started in the exact same place on the battlefield, south of Thorn Ward, and that's how it started. The only really major difference was there was a person playing Melda, and yeah, and it was a lot different because of her actually being a player character.
oh, wow,
Um, but
be interested to
as
see.
huh?
I have to ask you how that I guess yeah, we'll have to ask you how that worked out in the end when she eventually, I would assume, you know, made it to Celene.
Right. Oh yeah, because the lady who was playing her had no idea what was happening, and I sprung it on her, and just the look on her face was just classic. As a matter of fact, I think
Nice.
there's a there's a Facebook page to the group that I had before that actually has a picture of her when I told her, and she was like stunned, and she wasn't ready. And I know that there's a lot of people out there who kind of poo poo the idea of having player characters become royalty, but I think it really added something to that game, and
Mhm.
it worked out. It worked out completely. I mean, I still had these same people still talk about this game today, and it's been over 10 years. They loved it.
That's
So,
yeah, that's awesome. That's
so
what every DM wants, right?
right.
They want players to talk about this game, from the when
And
they're older and they pass it on to their kids when they're playing.
right. And that's what I'm kind of hoping will also happen with you guys too. Like 10 years down the road, and hopefully that we will all still be, gaming, hopefully together. They'd be like, hey, remember when this happened and that happened? I'm like, yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
That's really the whole, and that's the beautiful thing about the game is the friendships and the memories that have been made over the table or over the internet now. Um, it just means so much. I think
It,
it
it
really.
it really does. I mean, I still think about the last group, not prior to this group that I played when I was in. So after I got out of the army for Fort Huachuca, we moved back to England. And eventually, I mean, there was for long periods of time I didn't play. I was, it was all Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, those trilogies, and eventually Neverwinter Nights. That's when I was eventually finally getting back into what you would consider kind of a playing group. And then yeah, then I met some folks where I worked at. I knew this guy. He was actually a friend for in Scouts, and he said, "Hey, I got a spot open the table." I was like, "Awesome!" And this is where we started 5e. Um, so yeah, and there was just so I often think about some of the shenanigans we got up to. So
That's cool. So, how do you feel about how the campaign has progressed?
without a question, great. I mean, like you said, it's it's moving forward and it's going in a very zigzaggy, curvy direction, which is awesome. Everybody is, their characters are getting involved with like, the storylines and things like that. And that's again, that's on you as the DM. You're doing a fantastic job.
Thanks. Alrighty. So obviously, from what you've just what you've been saying, is that at the conclusion of the Princess of Celene, if I happen to run another campaign, would you be willing to jump in?
Yeah, without a doubt.
That's cool. Thanks.
Yep.
That's cool. Well, that's about all the questions I have, Pam. Do you have anything else you wanted to add, or is there something you specifically wanted to ask me, or um,
Well, I was thinking about it, but Albie did beat me to the punch, and I think it would be actually pretty cool to have us interview you. Ask each one of us ask you a question. So
okay, well that would be
as a,
real.
a finale to this the whole the interview series. So
Yeah, so maybe at the end, we'll put it together one night. We'll have everybody come on, and you guys could just badger the hell out of me with questions.
yep,
Okay, well that would be a lot of fun. I think that would be cool.
yeah,
So, alrighty.
it'd be
Hey,
interesting in what kind of question Ed asks you.
oh Lord. Eh, some of the stuff that Ed comes up with is just like I'm like, where does this come from? Where is this? Or both him and Glenn will ask some of the most off the wall weird stuff, and I'm like, I don't know what to say. I mean, there's been I've got books up, I've got things, and I'm like going, what are they going to ask for? What sort of
Yeah,
weird thing? And now they got Grenna doing it. Now they got Melinda doing it. She's like coming up with like the craziest stuff, and I'm like, oh, I was like freaking out. She broke me and she said, okay, hey, so I have magic. And I'm like, yeah, you have some magical ability. And said, well, I can make sound and I can make like, and smells and things like that. I said, well, yeah, right. So what's the possibility of me making walkie talkies? I'm like, what the hell? I was like, and I was sitting there just like, well, number one, you have to understand how electricity and transistors work. And I said, I don't think that's the same. And I felt, I really love the idea. The idea was great. I mean, I don't have a problem with that, but there's already magical items out there that fit the bill.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking,
Yeah, because I'm already thinking sending, which is I think a third level clerical spell, a fourth one.
yeah, something
So
like
unless
that.
you can do some kind of artifact with that, but I don't know. Yeah.
Well, what you could do is like have um, a stone or something that is like imbued with permanency for that spell, which would be really kind of cool. And I don't have a problem doing things like that. I think that's, as a DM, that's like, oh yeah, that's a cool idea. Uh, but when she said, "Oh yeah, I want walkie talkies," and it's like I just don't think a low technology society like Greyhawk just doesn't have
Yeah.
that sort of tech level. It's like
You
uh,
gotta have like a little box and a little mechanical like bird gets up and flies like I don't know a mile and then relays the message and then you have to. It's taking too long. So, but yeah.
that's too funny.
Oh well. It's
Well,
some interesting ideas though.
oh yeah, no. She's had some really good ones, and of course then she's had ones that I'm like, I just don't know.
It all started with the monorail. You know that's where it happened,
uh,
right?
the monorail. Okay, now um I need to confess something.
Oh.
And I know this is coming gonna get back to Ed. I don't understand the story behind the monorail. I don't. I just don't.
God, I don't know what I have to.
It was
I
just
just remember it was a telescope.
it was a telescope. Yes.
And
I
how did it turn? Oh, you know what?
How
I'm
did
gonna
it
have to listen. I'm gonna have to listen to that again just to remember exactly how it became the monorail.
I I just I just had no idea what the whole thing was about. I'm like, monorail. Oh, okay. I just went, okay, I'll let the crazy Kinder guy go with it. It's fine. You
So,
know,
yeah. You know, I
whatever.
guess in your if you play this campaign game within a group, you could always make that like an artifact of some sort. The telescope, make it some kind of like a broom that people fly on or something.
Well, in the original campaign back in 2010, there was no telescope. There, that
Oh,
yeah, that actually comes from a different campaign that I ran. And the funny part about that was the building that had was collapsed and the telescope was a part of it.
hmm.
If you all had actually went downstairs, and you would have found that there was a wizard down there who had been trapped, and you guys pretty much left him to starve to death. So I was like, okay, well, fine.
You know, we weren't to know, right? Go back now and find his
It's just
desiccated body.
yeah. So I was like, okay, well, they didn't go there. That's fine. That's fine.
I think was that happened after we met that we got smushed by the hill giant, right? Yeah, I think we were a little trigger or
Yeah, I
little
think y'all
nervous.
were. Yeah, I think you guys were like once bitten, twice shy situation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
y'all weren't about ready to go down there and play with whatever was down there.
No, we were having enough problem above land. I don't know if we wanted to go.
Oh, that's great. That is great. Well, Pav, thanks again for taking the time to come on this evening and hang out and chat about gaming and
I think this is
what you
awesome.
think.
I maybe do it more. You know, just to talk about something random. You know, what's going on the latest. D&D or any fantasy, and just kind of talk about it. Yeah.
Well, I know Ed and I have been kicking around the idea of actually having a live stream sort of situation, and we're talking about different. Some of it's going to be nostalgia, talking about old systems, talking about
Oh wow.
systems that people have never probably ever played or heard of. And I was telling him, so I actually have a full and complete red box from '82 here.
Wow.
It has the original dice and everything. Uh,
Holy mackerel.
I know, right? My wife found it at an estate sale for $5.
You know, and when I hear stories like that too, because I've seen people, they'll go to a car boot, or not a car boot, sorry, that's a very English term, a a garage sale, right? And and they'll post it on there. They had all these, like the A&D or even the 3.5 books, a whole lot. Yeah, I got them for $25, and this like, and 3.5 had a lot of resources. So
Oh yeah, and matter of fact, you can probably see. So I have like an entire whole section over here that is all 3.5.
yeah,
Um, yeah.
I wish I would have thought of that at least, I don't know, at least 10 years ago, because I used to remember seeing it in Second and Charles a lot of 3 point. Now you can't find anything. It's
Oh
most A lot of
no.
people are snatching it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I remember there was this one little bookstore. It was in Stewart, Florida, and it's just a seaside town. It's a nice place, it really is. But it had this neat little store, and they actually had it was like a basket of 3.5, 3 and third edition books just sitting there. And I think I walked out of there once with like three of like the really nice books for I think like $25. That was
Nice.
back when it was. Now, like I said,
Well,
you just can't find them now.
yeah. I mean, literally, I was surprised to see that module. I mean, I was only thinking about it the other day, and as I'm walking right, it's so book, Second and Charles. They have all the little counters, and then they had this one glass counter because they just recently had kind of remodeled a bit and stuff like that. And it just caught my eye, and I was like, "You've got to be," I was like, "You got to be shitting me, seriously?" And I asked the guy to come over and look at it, and I was like, "Yeah, you know what? I'm getting it." Yeah. So Gail was even excited for me.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So I guess I'll see you on Thursday for our regular game session.
Yep.
Cool.
As
Cool.
always, looking forward to it.
Alrighty. So again, folks watching at home, thank you all very much for hanging out with us. This has been an interview with Pav, who plays Kelex, our paladin. And the next time we have another one will probably be next week sometime, and it will be Kiffy Blackhammer, played by Mike. So
The best for last.
he's gonna be the one wrapping up the player characters. And then, from what I gather, sometime in the future, they'll actually sit down and have some questions for me. So we'll see how that works out. But other than that, Mike, thanks again. And I will chat with you
Thank
all
you.
later. Have a
All
good
right.
night.
Bye, all.